Okay, the Homeric thing again. It's like 10 seconds after the previous video, so let's see if we can just keep it rolling and keep going with it. Thus did Sthenelus, son of Capaneus, and Pandarus, son of Lycaon, measure their strength and courage against each other. But soon were they to measure their great casting arms. They both made to exit their chariots, not being able to ride forth and cast the long-shadowed spear at once. And even Pandarus, who was fleeing to the city of Troy, knew that he must measure his arm against this other man, if any were to respect him back at the city. And so, in their bronze armor, they clanged to the ground, holding the long-shadowed spear and a sword at their chest. Pandarus it was who first made his cast, praying to the god Apollo and to his sister Artemis, the huntress of the woods, to whom he had prayed so often, and from whom he had learned his arts of the bow. He cast that spear as fast as an arrow could fly from his quiver, but not with enough strength to pierce the shield of Capaneus' son. The bronze rang against bronze and scraped against that boss, but did not penetrate. It scraped forth and fell to the side, quivering in the ground with its strength spent. Sthenelus then took up his spear, and without praying to any god, but trusting in his strength, cast that long-shadowed lance straight toward the head of Capaneus' son. And thus it did not miss its target, and the shield, that great targe that was held by the son of Lycaon, borrowed from the car of Aeneas as a spare to be held by any who needed such. He could not lift the thing in time, its weight being too great for him to hold on one hand, and the spear pierced forth through his chin and pierced all the way through, penetrating and smashing his teeth, cutting his tongue forth at the root. His jaw hung to one side as a thing held by a string, and the spear fell forth through the back of his neck and stuck him to the ground as he gasped out his life. Thus fell the son of Lycaon, Pandarus, who had flamed and fanned the fires of war once again to cause grief for so many Achaeans and Trojans. He sputtered forth his life, and all of his energy and life force spilled into the dust until he was finally dragged by the feet by that great horseman Death into the halls of Hades. Meanwhile, Sthenelus had already run forth to grab those bolting horses of Aeneas, that great team of Tros which had been bred in secret by the great Anchises, secretly breeding them on the horses of Laomedon that were kept forth from Heracles. That glorious team, Sthenelus, with no further challenge and no further attempts on any warriors, drove back to the camp of the Achaeans to bring great glory to himself and to his master Diomedes. Meanwhile, that son of Tydeus raged forth through all the Trojans with no help to left or right, all the Achaeans sprinting forth behind in the great wake that he had created, opening up a giant hole in the armies of the Trojans and allies. Soon it was that his car, he came forth toward many a Trojan, Echecles he slew, and Echemon, and Chromion, and Panaces, casting that lance and drawing it forth, one through the arm, the other into that great shining belt buckle that protected him from death. His mother had saved up and sold all of her hens to buy that great belt which he so proudly wore onto the battlefield. All bespattered with blood it was now, and wrenched forth by his enemy to bring glory to himself and his other comrades. The Achaeans spewed forth into that great hole opened by Diomedes, and slew Odysseus and Menelaus and great Aias, all coming forth. None could match his strength, but it did not take much to hack forth at the backs of the unprotected Trojans and Dardans and Lycians as they fled from the madman Diomedes. And such were the Trojan battle lines broken on that day, when Zeus took forth his scales and brought forth his weights, and down sank the day of doom for the Trojans, and up rose that of the Achaeans, if only for a time. All right. Better again than last time. And the previous one, we had made it so that Diomedes, for some reason, started retreating, which is weird. He does eventually do that, but not for no reason. We would have to still have Hector, or I think it was Hector, come forward and you know, kind of turn the tide for the Trojans, and then he would have to be like, get a pep talk from Athena again. But it was pretty good. We added a couple extra little moments in there. There was one that I liked. I can't remember what it was. And the little epitaph for Pandarus was kind of nice, which is not in the original story. Yeah, I can't remember what else was in there, but it was not bad. Better than the last one, for sure. In general, every, you know, story cluster that we do should be longer than they currently are. Most of the problems that I'm running into is because I'm trying to sort of bound through it too fast. But if you really, you know, read the story, it's way more detailed in every little piece. So, you know, just taking more time on this stuff is probably better. All right. Well, we'll keep doing it next time.